Florida and what
Yeah.
they were able to do again last night. This team, you don't know who the weapon's going to be. You got Thomas Howell and Chinyalu going for 10 points,
Yeah.
4 rebounds, and Condon and Flan come up big.
Boy, that's the beauty right now, right? Because if I had told you Tommy Houck would have, what do you have, 5 points, foul trouble, had a little bit of an injury there too. If I had told you he would do that on the road against a Texas team that's firmly in the tournament right now, you would have said there's no way they win that game. Because Xavier Lee and Boogie Flam were kind of unreliable for the longest time. And now both of them have been much better. Flam was terrific last night. Condon's playing hard every game, where again, we were like last year at the end of the year, didn't play well in the tournament, didn't come out of the gates very strong. But man, like they've got enough now that you look at them and you're like, they can do this. They could literally.
Another Dooley Noted podcast comes to you from the Meldon Law Studios at the Hacienda. Okay, welcome into another Dooley Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI and Imaging and coming to you from the Meldon Law Gator Studios here at the Dooley Dome. Great show today. Jeff Goodman's going to join us from the field of 68. He does a lot of stuff. He's all over the place. Really knows his basketball, and it's going to be interesting to hear what his take is on the Florida basketball team and combine that with everything else that's going on. But we'll talk about that in just a minute. On Monday's show, it'll be 2 head coaches. It'll be Coach Spur will be on and Coach Summerall will be on. We're interviewing him actually Friday, tomorrow, and then we'll post that, but we'll save it until the Monday show because just I thought it'd be good to have it both on Monday. And we'll talk to Coach about him. I did want to mention the first year coaches award thing that happened Monday night. It was a great night, a terrific night. I got Jesse Palmer and Kenyatta Walker's phone numbers, so hopefully both of them will be on the show at some point. I didn't want to ask right away, but it did turn into a roast. I was waiting for Foster Brooks to come up there, but it was hilarious. So Kirby Smart was great. Cristobal was good. Went a little too long, as Canes tend to do. Malachi Tony, just seeing him and talking to him a little bit, and a couple of the other players that were there. Really a lot of fun. And Dan Mullen was good. Had some shots. Said he didn't expect to be getting an award. I mean, he thought he would be getting an award at Florida, but he didn't think it would be when he was at Nevada. Anyway, he said it better than that. And I tell you what, the most fun I had was talking to Megan Mullen. Hadn't seen her for a long time. We talked forever about different things, and that was really cool too. So anyway, a huge success, and I know it's going viral because of all the shots that Kirby took at Mario and at Florida, and telling Summerall, don't take that for rent sign out of your front lawn. So look, he's got a good point. This is the 4th coach he's gone after, So we'll see how this all works out for him. But anyway, let us move along and get started. Again, Jeff Goodman today, so looking forward to that. Let's start with our MoneyMetals.com starting 5. MoneyMetals.com is your home for gold and silver purchases, one of the largest distributors in all the United States. 2 Gator grads are running it, and you can reach them at 1-800-800-1865 or at MoneyMetals.com. All right, let's start off with number 1, which would obviously be what Florida did in basketball last night. I will say this, and I used to really get mad at people when they would try to tell me that, hey, I brought my kid to 10 straight games and they won every one. Or I wore this shirt, and when I wear this shirt, the Gators have never lost. Stuff like that. I used to tell them, that has nothing to do with it. Stop. Last night, it's 64-61 Texas. I wanted to change things up. So I went and I got the shirt that was so good to me last year, the one I wore for every NCAA tournament game, put it on. Guess what? Florida goes on a 24-7 run and blows out Texas. Now, again, has nothing to do with anything, as we know. But still, It's kind of like religion. If religion makes you feel better about what you're going through in life, it's good. That's what religion's for. It's kind of a crutch. It's kind of a lift in the shoe, as George Carlin used to say. And that's the way I look at superstitions, kind of the same way. If it makes me feel better to put a T-shirt on, that same T-shirt on, yeah, sure. That's why Florida won. I'll take credit for it. Anyway, we know better than that. Alex Condon, just amazing. How he's playing. Boogie Fland, Xavier Lee had a great game. I mean, look, Thomas Howe hurt his ankle in the second half. It didn't seem to bother him. I don't think that's why he and Chinulu only scored a combined 10 points. I think sometimes defenses are. If you were going to stop somebody, who would you go to stop? Would it be Xavier Lee? No. Would it be Boogie Fland? No, probably not. It would be Condon, Hauk, and certainly I think it would be Chinulu. But how do you do that? Well, in this case, Condon got a lot of open looks and made almost all of them. What was he, 10 for 12 in the game? And, they look, Chinulu and Hauk didn't play great. I don't know what's going on with Chinny. I know there's probably nothing wrong with him, but he's played, I think, like 23 minutes a game over the last 3 or 4 games. I don't know that I don't think he's tired. He doesn't ever seem to be tired, but only getting a few rebounds. And again, you know me, sound was off for that game. And I love Tom Hart, but I just didn't want to listen to it. There's a mental block that I have, and I have a real problem. So let's just talk about that. But I do. Look, we're going to go through all my problems today. How about that? But look, the bottom line is, I don't think he started the second half. I think they started handlocked him, as I recall. Nobody made a big deal out of it. Nobody said he was hurt. He was back in the game. Maybe he just was tired. Maybe he wasn't feeling good. Maybe he's just struggling right now because teams are trying to stop him. But the bottom line is they don't need him to play at that level that he's been playing at all year. They don't need Hauk to be an All-American. It's great when he is. Last night it was Condon and Fland and Lee. And Clavchar made some big shots. This is a team, man. It is a team of 8 players, and all 8 of them can hurt you. And that is what's great about it. 23-7 after they were up by 3. In the second half, Florida won 48-32. Now, the significant part of that is the 32, because in the first half, what they were struggling with was Texas is a team that believes in one-on-one basketball. We're going to take you off the dribble and try to drive it, try to get a pull-up, try to get to the rim. And they were very effective doing that in the first half. That's why they had, 39-36, I think, at the halftime, which is 39 points for Florida to give up. It's a lot. Second half only gave up 32 and dominated at the end of the game. And that was a great example of what champions do, what great teams do. And this is a great team. I'm not going to ever compare them to last year's team because last year's team was totally different. This is a great team. At the bandwagon, I guess we'll let more people on, some of us that never got off of it. And again, I will confess to this. I mean, I was getting a little discouraged, but I got a kind of I'm trying to think of the right word. Goose is not the right word, but I kind of did get cattle prodded by Todd Golden during an email exchange or text exchange, and he said, "We're going to be fine. We're close, and we're going to be fine." And I said, "Hey, look, you know what you're doing, and we know that." And he sure did know what he's doing. Florida with 8 straight wins, 7 straight SEC wins, which I think is like 3rd or 4th in the most ever. Of course, we'll never know he's ever going to beat what Florida did in 2014, when they won every SEC game. But this team is just playing at a crazy level. The funny thing last night is as this game's going on, we've gotten so used to Florida going on the road and just shutting the other team up and shutting their fans up. And that wasn't happening. in this game. And I'm like, oh, this is going to be interesting to see how they deal, because I was prepared for somebody to ask me this. I did a couple of radio shows, but it never came up. But I was preparing mentally for somebody to ask me, hey, how do you beat Florida? What's the way to beat Florida since they're not losing hardly any games? And my answer would be play from ahead. Get ahead of them. They're not used to that. They're not, I mean, I'm talking about early in the game. They've been behind early in games, but try to be ahead of them for a good part of the game and see how they handle, a tight game, because they haven't had very many of them. And they lost a bunch of them early in the season. And during the SEC play, it hadn't been many of them. I mean, Missouri was, and really, I don't know, Auburn just kind of beat them. Anyway, that would have been my answer, and that would have been the wrong answer, because that's what Texas did. They played from ahead most of the game. I mean, it was back and forth. They got up 8 at one point in the first half. They got up, I think, 6 in the second half. But Florida came back and beat them. This team is amazing. They're so much fun to watch. And I know Gator fans are happy about it and thrilled, and we'll see what happens on Saturday. Because coming up next, let's go to number 2 on our moneymetals.com starting 5. And that would be, what are we watching here? Because we try not to get ahead of ourselves. Florida's net ranking and Florida's, I know Leonardo last night said, hey, after that win at Texas, because that's a quad 1 win. And that probably won't go away as a quad 1 win, because I think it's top 70 or 75 on the road. Pure road wins are quad 1s. They're going to have chances for more of them, obviously, with 2 of the next 3 games. But this is a team that is doing things that we did not see coming. And nobody saw it last year coming. Nobody did. And I don't even think Todd Golden did. He never looked at that team and went, I think we can win it all. No, because nobody thinks that way. But I don't think any of us could see this coming. And I'm not saying after the Missouri loss. I'm saying after the Auburn loss. That was the game where we all kind of went, well, maybe these guys aren't that great. However, everybody will tell you now that was the game that jump-started this team. Okay. You can't just roll it out there because you're at home. In fact, I started to look this up today, and I'm going to look it up later today and have it for you on Monday. I promise. I think Florida shoots better on the road than at home. But, and which makes no sense because you have the familiarity and everything. They keep stacking these wins up. Anyway, I was saying that Leonardo last night said Florida's jumped up to the two line, which I think they should be on the 2 line. There is no chance they can get to the 1, I don't think. And that's fine. Being a number 2 seed is fine, believe me. That's still going to be very difficult because you still have, you've almost got to win 2 of the last 3 and then win 2 in the tournament, probably to be a 2 seed. But we'll just see. We'll just see it. Don't worry too much about it. If they're a 3, they're a 3. Like all along, the goal has been to get to Tampa as a top 4 seed, and I think they will. Here was the other thing I wanted to talk about, though, because I don't think anybody's talked about this yet. Florida has clinched the double bye. They cannot finish out of the top 4 now at 13-2 in the SEC. It's unbelievable that I'm saying that, but yes, 13-2 in the SEC. Because again, this is a very good conference. You saw it last night with the guys they were trotting out there, with Marks and Pope and Swain. This was a very talented team that's going to be in the NCAA tournament. It'll be a tough out, as Todd Golden said after the game. But this team just plows through them, Like and this was the funny thing. Alabama player last night was talking about it on the interviews after their game, and they were talking about the Florida game and how that game was kind of a wake-up call, and Florida embarrassed us, and we're looking forward to seeing them again, which would have to be, well, it could either be in the SEC tournament or it could be in the NCAA tournament. But the point I was trying to make is that Florida now, they're going to be in the top four. You want them to get that 1 seed, and mainly because you like to know when you're playing. If you play at noon, you don't have to wait for teams to run out there, and if there's an injury or a basket gets dislodged, and now you're playing the second game and you're warming up in the hall. I think it's important, but it's not that big a deal. If you're a 2, that's fine. My point is Florida is in great shape right now, and I think everybody should be really, really happy where they are. They are going to be they're going to get the double bye. They aren't going to play till Friday. So if you were making plans to go up Wednesday or Thursday, I would highly suggest it to go to Nashville on Wednesday or Thursday. It is great up there, and that tournament is great. And watching all that basketball is great. If you like if you don't like basketball, I don't know why you're going anywhere, but certainly don't go to Nashville for that, because that's not going to do much for you. But you're going to be around Kentucky fans. That's what I have to say about that. All right, let's get to number 3 on our moneymetals.com starting 5, and that is the other games last night. It would have been great, and I was going to stay up for the whole thing if Auburn and Arkansas had both lost, and then Florida would have clinched at least a share of the SEC. Actually, they would have clinched, a share of the SEC championship. All they have to do is win one game or have one of those teams lose, or both those teams lose a game, and they will clinch a share. Now, I know Florida doesn't want a share. They want the whole kit and caboodle. But if they can just beat Mississippi State next week at home, they cannot do any worse than a share. They want more, and I want more. We all want more. And here comes Arkansas. And it has been, last night, by the way, I was rooting against Arkansas and Alabama because I was just hoping that Florida could clinch. But Arkansas scored 99, Alabama scored 100. Alabama, I think, hit 23 threes. It's ridiculous. They're good. And Arkansas, this Arkansas team coming in here is very, very good. Darius Acuff, I think, is the SEC Player of the Year. And I said that before. Tommy Houck only scored 5 points last night. I just think he's done more and lifted his team up better than anybody. And nothing against Tommy. He's played great all year. And even in that game, the highlight of that game was Swain going up for a dunk, Chinulu stuffing him as he's going to block to get the dunk at the rim. They throw it down court to Condon. He throws the lob, beautiful lob to Houck. Boom, dunk. That was just it. It was like, Texas won. We're done. We can't beat these guys. Anyway, but Acuff is good, and the guy that on that team that I really like is Billy Richmond III. He doesn't shoot it great, but he is an elite athlete, and I think he is. I've been saying this all year. I think, man, that guy is a freak, and he's dangerous. So they've got a lot of good players on that team, and they have a very good team, and they lost only 4 games in the conference. So we'll see how that goes Saturday. Of course, that game is late on Saturday. But game day will be here. That'll be a lot of fun. I did reach out to Jay Billis, and I've had him on the podcast before, but he's got a lot going on. So to try to get him on, I was going to have him and Jeff Goodman on. That would have been cool. But sometimes the best laid plans of mice and men do not always work out. Also, A&M is an interesting story, and they lost again. And I mean, they're in the tournament, I'm pretty sure, but that is, I don't know, man. They're 0-4 against ranked teams. That's not good. So that's a weird dynamic. Like, we talk all the time, and I get asked this question: how many teams from the SEC could win the whole thing? And my take is that Florida's like the only one, but Arkansas, maybe. I'd put them in there. I don't see Alabama, because you're gonna have a night where you don't make threes. That's just inevitable. And that's all they have. They don't defend that great. Bediako I know is appealing to get back again, but I don't think that'll go through. And now A&M earlier would have been. Remember when I was saying that their coach was going to be the coach of the year in the SEC? I'm going to ask Jeff Goodman this question: Why not? Why not Todd Golden? It should be him, and why not Todd Golden nationally? We know what the pressure of playing or coaching a team that has won a national title can be. That team in 07 just about imploded on itself and won almost every game, but they had so much pressure. And the whole story about Joakim Noah breaking out, and because he was feeling so much stress, and he was going to be the number one pick, and he came back, and there was that thing with Dick Vitale and Horford and Noah, or he said something on a radio show, and Billy had to drive them together in the car to the airport because he wanted to talk to him. All that stuff was going on. That's how hard it can be. And Billy didn't lose 3 guys to the NBA. So I just think, anyway, you see the point. Arkansas here Saturday, that's going to be quite a scene. And I know everybody's looking forward to it. All right, let's move along to number 4 on our MoneyMentals.com starting 5, and that would be that the Gator baseball team did sweep FIU. They didn't pitch great again in this one, either game. What was it, 11-6 and 11-4, something like that? Or no, it was 11-9 or 12-9. And scores don't matter. It's whether you win or lose. The bottom line, though, is last night, Lawson, who is a really elite player, 6 RBI, so that was good. They hit them really well. Look, we all know that this weekend is going to decide a lot. Not even decide. To be honest with you, it's not going to decide anything. But what it's going to do is shape public opinion about what you think. And now, many of you don't care about college baseball, but I do. And I know a lot of people do. Miami series is going to be huge. Miami's 10-0. Miami right now has already, in their 10 games, has hit 27 homers. They've got a freshman, I'm blanking on his name, but who's hitting like 878 or something. They're 10-0. Florida's 9-1. I don't think either one of them have played anybody, to be honest with you. So this is going to be where we find out. This is going to be where we find out if Liam Peterson on Friday night can go out on the road and get it done. This is going to be important in that. It's going to be where we see if Aiden King can get out an elite home run team. Find out if they have any third pitcher. And there's a lot of things we're going to find out. And Miami's going to find out a lot about themselves too. Because at the end of the day, don't forget, they're 10-0 and they've done all these great things, but it's been softball pretty much. So we'll see what happens, but we'll talk a little bit later about where you can get those games on TV as well. Florida sweeping FIU. Now it's Miami, the other Miami school, and we'll see what happens there. It'll be an interesting game. No question about it. All right, number 5 on our MoneyMetals.com starting 5. By the way, I hope you guys watch the show on Monday because I was able to show those coins, or rounds is what they're actually called, and they were really cool. And you can get them any of the baseball teams. I had the Braves one, which I appreciated them sending me that, but you can get any baseball team and invest. So it's a pretty cool deal. So let's get to our on number 5, which is our Steve and Christine Wendig present the Olympic Gator Athlete of the Week. I don't think lacrosse is in the Olympics, but we count that as an Olympic sport. And of course, in lacrosse, Florida has been very good. And 3-1 now because they won against Stetson. Kennedy Richardson is our Olympic Gator Athlete of the Week, brought to you by Steve and Christine Wendig from Boss Hart Realty. She had 4 goals in the win over Stetson, 24-9 or 24-8. Florida on Saturday goes to Annapolis and plays Navy. Navy's number 10 in the country. They're really good, obviously. That game is at 9:30 in the morning. I don't know. I think I think it's on something, but I don't know what it is. I doubt if it's on anywhere, but I don't think you'll be able to watch that. But anyway, that'll be a big big match for them. We'll see how they do, but they're obviously off to a good start, 3-1. All right. That is our moneymetals.com starting five. Let us take a break. When we come back, Jeff Goodman will join us. We'll talk some basketball with him, and we'll play yes, no, way, or maybe with him as well. This is another Duly Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI and Imaging, coming to you from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. We'll be right back after this break. Adams Rib Company has been a staple of Gainesville for more than a decade and a staple of the Dooley house ever since Kelsey's teeth came in. The first time I walked into Adams, I told my daughter that the green beans are always a test of a great barbecue restaurant, and they were perfect. You know about the ribs that melt in your mouth, and my favorite, the turkey plate. But be sure to go in on Fridays for Nana's Fish Nuggets. They will melt in your mouth. Adams Rib Co., a Gainesville great.
Coach, you know, it always impressed me how you beat Florida State to win the 1996 national championship.
And I was really impressed with your 06, 08, and 09 Gator teams.
And the way you coached Danny to the Heisman Trophy.
A lot like what you did with Tim Tebow.
You know, you won more SEC championships than you lost home games at the Swamp.
And you had plenty of super games in front of our Gator Nation.
Yeah, there really is something special about the Swamp.
I guess that's why we say about the Swamp, only the Gators get out alive.
To the Swamp and the Gators, with the best beverage served at Spur's Gridiron Grill, 100% agave, Los Landeros tequila, aged in bourbon barrels for a smoother taste.
I think you mean Head Beer Coach 1966 lager, a crisp, light, bodied lager for easy drinking.
Nope. Los Landeros tequila, smooth enough to drink neat, bold enough to elevate a cocktail.
1966 lager, enjoyed on game days in the fall or whenever you need a winning cold brew.
Los Landeros tequila.
1966 lager.
Los Landeros.
1966 lager.
Y'all stop bickering.
Okay, you're both wrong anyway. The best thing Spurrier's Gridiron Grill offers are Jerry's famous chocolate chip cookies.
Meldon Law has been serving personal injury victims since 1971. In those days, Jeffrey Meldon's presence as an attorney in the music scene dubbed him with the nickname the Hippie Attorney. And although times have changed, two things haven't. Our commitment to bettering our community by helping the injured.
Albert, are you ready to go to the game?
And our love for the Florida Gators.
If you bleed orange and blue, Meldon Law is the firm for you.
Okay, welcome back to another Duly Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI and Imaging, coming to you from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. And it's great to bring in my friend Jeff Goodman, who does an amazing job on college basketball. Nobody knows it more than he does. Founder of the Field of 68 and a great podcast as well. Jeff, how you doing today?
I'm well, man. You know, in the heart of it, right? In the heart of it right now. And I think we got under 40 days till the national title game, which is, you know, you always have mixed feelings, right? It's a long season. You can't wait. This time of year is awesome because, you know, games mean more, right? You're talking bubble teams. You're talking seeds. You get to, you know, I'm going to go to the Big 12 and the SEC tournament, pop to both of those. And then you get to the NCAA tournament where there's nothing better. So I'm excited. Can't wait. And I think this year has been honestly one of the best years to cover in college basketball the last 20 years because of, right, the freshman class has been incredible. The international kids coming over has added a lot of talent. And obviously the kids coming back that would have been gone, you know, like JT Toppin, Bennett Sturts, kids like that are making more money. The Axel Lenderberg, right? Like he would have been gone. There's no way he would have come back if he wasn't offered $3 million to play for NIL by Michigan. So it's all been like the perfect storm this year of those three factors that have really, really made the talent level in college basketball, you know, rise significantly.
Yeah, the NBA draft is going to be one of the most interesting NBA drafts I've seen in a long time. Now, will you, I mean, as a founder of the Field of 68, will you have to change the name if they expand?
So I keep telling people this. I'm like, did the Big Ten change its name?
No, it didn't. No.
Right? So I don't know. I think for the short term, I would say no. And they're going to expand. We know that. They're going to expand. I mean, Charlie Baker all but told us that when we were in Indianapolis last week. It's just a matter of when. They said we don't want to take away from this year's tournament, so we're not going to talk about it. We're not going to have any conversations before this year's NCAA tournament's over, which is smart. If you're going to announce it, first of all, announce it in the offseason because you get some pop, right? Like if you announce it now, you got enough going on. Why take away from the games? So announce it on a day, on a midweek in the offseason when we know there's nothing going on this summer anyway. Steal the headlines on a day when you can.
Yeah, I think that Greg Sankey took that lesson from the NFL, and that's why their schedule reveal now is a longer, it's a bigger deal, and
yes,
they do it smartly. I do want to obviously talk to you about Florida and what they were able to do again last night. This team, you don't know who the weapon's going to be. You got Thomas Houck and Chinyelu going for 10 points, 4 rebounds, and Condon and Flan come up big.
Boy, that's the beauty right now, right? Because if I had told you Tommy Houck would have, 5 points, foul trouble, had a little bit of an injury there too. If I had told you he would do that on the road against a Texas team that's firmly in the tournament right now, you would have said there's no way they win that game. Because Xavier Lee and Boogie Flam were kind of unreliable for the longest time. And now both of them have been much better. Flam was terrific last night. Condon's playing hard every game. Where again, we were like last year at the end of the year, didn't play well in the tournament, didn't come out of the gates very strong. But man, like they've got enough now that you look at them and you're like, they can do this. They could literally go back to back, which would be, how amazing would it be to, again, have the last two.
Yeah.
Not 2 of the last 3, I'm sorry. 2 of the last 3. Billy's team, obviously. And then UConn, Dan Hurley going back to back, but 2 of the last 3 coming from Gainesville. Like who would have ever predicted that? Nobody. No. If you had told somebody that, 25 years ago, nobody would have thought that was possible.
Well, think about it. When I was going to school here, I went to games in Alligator Alley, so that I was not
different.
But I was just they never went to the NCAA tournament.
Crazy.
Not at all. So
what Billy did there.
Yeah.
They need to name the whole arena after him. They need to name the whole arena after him.
I would agree with you on that. And I know that you're aware that his father passed away last week. I went to the funeral Wednesday. Billy gave an unbelievable eulogy. And I'm sure
I wanted to go. Pat, I'll say this. There's no coach that I miss more in college basketball than Billy Donovan. Nobody. And people would probably be surprised to hear me say that, right? Like all these guys that have retired lately that, I've gotten a chance to know over the years. Billy's just, man, he's one of a kind. And I don't think people realize is the other side of Billy, the immature side of Billy. Like we've seen this over and over and over. Like I remember, and I've told this story before, he ends up taking the Magic job, going back. I'm with him at LeBron James camp in Akron, Ohio, and he's telling me the whole story. We're having a few cocktails at this bar or this brewery downtown Akron. Nobody's there. Like there's like one other woman there. She came over. I think she asked Billy for an autograph. And after, I don't know what we're talking about. We're talking about something with Ric Flair comes up. And the next thing you know, I got Billy doing the whole Ric Flair impersonation, impression, walking down the street with the yelling, the strut, all of it. And again, I just don't think people realize, like, because Billy can be a little bit cognizant of kind of, especially in the public eye of like how he is, what he says, all that. But man, behind closed doors, there's no, and Billy's so locked into people. Like that's the one thing, when you're talking to Billy Donovan, he's not looking at his phone.
No.
He's not distracted. He is locked into whatever that task is at that time. He is so locked into.
Yeah, and I think and I agree with you on everything you said there, but I think that's one reason we didn't know if Florida could get back to where they would be good again. And Mike White obviously was a very good coach and brought in really good players, just couldn't get over the hump. And Todd Golden has found a way to do it. I think, I don't know who you vote for SEC Coach of the Year right now. I mean, it was going to be Bucky McMillans, and then they've kind of fallen off the face of the.
No, I think it probably is Todd. I'm trying to think of who else right now. Yeah, you're right. I mean, usually I go for the guy who's overachieved.
Right.
You know, the guy that wasn't picked high that ended up doing really well. But, you know, Bucky's got to make the tournament at least. And right now they're kind of floundering a little bit, and who knows if they're going to end up. They'll probably back their way in, I would think, at the end of the day. I think they back their way in, but we'll see. But what Todd's done, again, reloading with a completely different perimeter that isn't nearly as intimidating as the one he had a year ago, but the front court is elite, and the guards are coming. The guards are coming. I mean, Klobuchar can shoot it. We know that. Like that's the beauty. We talked the whole time about like Boogie and Xavier and how unreliable, how up and down they were, and they just weren't what we thought they were. But you got an elite shooter on the wing. You got one. So you really only need one of those two guys, Lee or Fland, each night. If you can get one of them, and they have one of them has to make shots too. Because otherwise, it's just a little bit easier to game plan for this Florida team if they don't.
Yeah, and obviously the big guys they've been able to use that and out rebound most of them. But they actually got out rebounded last night. They gave up way too many offensive rebounds. See, I'm nitpicking. That's the standard. You know, you set the standard, and that is the standard. I do want to talk to you about nationally. It feels like there are 4 great teams, and Florida maybe like the 5th, if you want to make that argument.
I'll put them 5. No, I think there's 5 great teams, and I think Florida's in that mix right now because of the way they played the last 2 months. If you just took those 2 months, that sample, Pat, I think you would say Florida belongs in that 5.
Yeah, I mean, when you win 7 straight SEC road games, that's pretty impressive. And I mean, I know it feels like that is where the SEC is lacking. They have one elite team maybe. And they have some really bad teams at the bottom this year. Last year, they didn't have that.
Yeah, and their really good teams aren't great.
Yeah,
you know, like that's the problem too. Is like Alabama is good, and I think they're a dark horse to make a Final Four run because of their guards. And look at what they did last night, scoring without fouling. I mean, that's the beauty of NATO.
That's all.
It's crazy how many guards they have. You know, their question is going to be obviously up front, and can they guard? Arkansas is good, but again, inconsistent. You don't completely trust them. You know, Auburn, not what we thought they were, right? Not what we thought they were. They'll probably be right on the bubble. You know, there just aren't a lot of like high-powered teams that there are in other leagues right now. You know, you obviously look at, you know, Big Ten's got a couple. You know, ACC's got a couple. It feels like, again, there's just more parity other than Florida now in the SEC.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we let you go, we do play this game called Yes, Nowhere, or Maybe. We'll play it with you. It is brought to you from Big Mill's Cheesesteaks, street dining done the right way. If you go there and say, hey, I listened to Jeff Goodman on Pat Dooley's podcast, you get free French fries with your order. How about that deal?
Pretty good.
All right, number 1 on Yes, Nowhere, or Maybe with Jeff Goodman from the Field of 68. Your alma mater will see the confetti fall this year.
No, I don't think so.
You don't see it?
I don't see it. No, I just don't. I don't think they shoot enough threes. So I think they're going to get knocked off because of their inability not to shoot the three, but rely on that inside game. I just worry about them. I hope I'm wrong because, again, it's been since 97. I was at that last one as a fan with my wife. Now, we were not married at that time. We drove all the way from Boston to Indianapolis, picked up a buddy of mine from Arizona on the way. And, yeah, I hope I'm wrong. It'd be really cool if they won it all again.
Just so you know, his alma mater is Arizona. So
thank you.
I love that team, and I love Pete. There is no question about it. He's got to stay healthy. That's huge. And number 2 on Yes, Nowhere, Maybe for Jeff Goodman. Kentucky fans will always be mad at you because Kentucky fans are always mad at everybody.
Yes, that's a yes. That's a yes. Although I'll say this, I mean, I think 99% of them hated me through most of the Cal era because my relationship with Cal wasn't great. But I think they learned that I was right at the end with Cal. I think he had lost his fastball at the end there. Now, I think he's got it back a little bit at Arkansas, you know, prove something, whatever. You basically run out of Lexington. But yeah, those fans are like nobody. I mean, they're like Red Sox, Yankees fans, but even at a different level because college is different than the pros. But they're nuts. They're nuts.
Well, yeah, that was when Mark Pope got his fine. He's like, I don't care if they fine me. I'm like, yeah, he's just trying to make the fans be happy, you know.
Yes, show some emotion. You know, you couldn't say it on the podium, but as you walked off the podium, he knew people were going to hear that. That was done for a reason.
Yep, absolutely. And finally, number 3 on Yes, No Way, or Maybe with Jeff Goodman. You feel bad for Darren Peterson and Charles Bediako because of all the crap that they've had to deal with. I mean, that I do is what I'm saying, and I'm just wondering.
You can't lump them together. They're very different.
That is true. They're different. Yeah.
Peterson, yes. Peterson, absolutely. Like I know the kid, and I think he's a good kid. He said he's a loner. He doesn't love to talk, but like he's respectful. I think everybody who's coached him likes him. I just think there's some other factors going on there. His camp.
Yeah.
Bediako's a different deal. Bediako, do I feel bad? I mean, only from a standpoint that, yes, they're right. Like the rules changed. When he left, now he screwed up. He made a big mistake by leaving Alabama when he did. He should have never left. But, you know, you listen to the wrong people, and there's really no NIL at that point. You know, minimal NIL. If he knew he could make $1.5 million, $2 million, like, yeah, he probably would have stuck around, hopefully. I mean, maybe not. But so I feel bad for Darren Peterson. Yes. Bediako, no.
I just feel bad because he, you know, like Florida started that chant G League dropout and other schools picked it up. And I mean, but I mean, that he had to know that was going to be the case. You know, when you come back to this conference or any major conference, you're going to get, you would certainly get it at Duke.
No doubt. No doubt.
Jeff, it's always good talking to you, buddy. Great stuff, man. Appreciate it.
Miss you, man. Miss seeing you. Maybe I'll see you at the Final Four.
Maybe. Hey, if they go to Tampa, which I assume they're going to, I'm probably going to go down there. So I may see them there.
Good. Well, great seeing you. Best of luck. I hope you're enjoying golfing. I assume you've gotten better at it.
A little bit, yeah.
I got to take it up here in Charleston. I bought clubs.
I know you're in a great town for it. Yeah.
And I've used them once. I bought them maybe in September, and I've used them once. But I plan on using them starting in probably May 1st. I'm going to try to get out there.
Field of 68, Jeff Goodman. Great job. We'll be back with more of another duly noted podcast presented by Titan MRI and Imaging from the Meldon Law Gator Studios right after this break. Money Metals Exchange is a new sponsor for our Starting Five here on another duly noted podcast, and we are so happy to have a group that is formed by 2 Florida grads, Mike and Stephen Gleason. They do a great job up there. If you're looking to buy or sell any gold or silver products, this is the place for you. And you can reach them at moneymetals.com. Also, phone number 1-800-800-1865. They are the place to go. They run the largest Class 3 precious metals depository west of New York. They've been voted the best online precious metals dealer in the United States by Investopedia. It's a bull market right now. Everybody needs to get in on the gold and silver markets, especially silver. So it's a great time to jump in. I looked at it yesterday. I was on the website for a while, and it was amazing how many different things they have. Coins and rounds and bars and just all kinds of special things. And I think you would have a great time just going in there and browsing. And I mean, look, the prices are right there. You know how much it is. Money Metals Exchange is the place to go. Again, Mike and Stephen Gleason do a great job. You can reach them at moneymetals.com or reach them at 1-800-800-1865.
Titan MRI, North Central Florida's premier independent diagnostic testing MRI facility. At Titan MRI, we're focused on you, the patient, having a great customer experience. Our MRI equipment is modern and 75% quieter than any unit in its class. And our MRI unit has one of the largest openings of any of the newer high-strength MRI units, which allows comfortable scanning for potential claustrophobic and larger patients. At Titan MRI, we look forward to serving you.
All right, it may be a new year, but it doesn't mean you have to back off any of your goals as far as losing weight. I know I've been working even harder on it, and of course I get an assist from BMI TeleMed. They help us out with our New Year's resolutions, even if I've already broken 2 of them. Not the food ones, though. Weight loss is your goal. Get with BMI TeleMed. They use GLP-1 medications, and they are individualized, and that's the great thing. I've been through this, and Charlie, just talking to him, it was so great to make him understand, and he understood what I was doing. It's not about just losing weight. It is about keeping it off. You know that. We're all excited about the new year, and we're going to lose weight, but when you lose it in the first month, then you got to keep going. BMI TeleMed is sensible. It's straightforward. It's affordable. No contracts or hidden costs. BMI TeleMed is donating $1 for every pound you lose to the Florida Victorious Foundation. So go Gators. Join the listeners on this podcast who've already lost over 600 pounds. Are you kidding me? I'm 60 of them right there. All right, contact BMI TeleMed today at 727-383-1677. Okay, welcome back to another Duly Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI and Imaging, coming to you from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. We appreciate Jeff Goodman for being on the show. And now it's time for all the fun stuff we like to do in the third segment, starting out with our Hesser and Kipky 3 things. Hesser and Kipky, with over 50 years of combined legal experience in North and Central Florida, Hesser and Kipky is your place for bankruptcy, workers' compensation, and family law. Call or text Ken and Jennifer at 352-339-9920, Hesser and Kipky. Okay, number 1 on our Hesser and Kipky 3 things. This is just going to be something that happens like once a week. But there's another lawsuit involving NIL. This time it's Brendan Sorsby. Cincinnati says he left, and he was supposed to pay them $1 million back if he ever left on that 2-year contract. But he says, no, I'm not going to do that. I don't think I needed that. So it's going to court, and they'll settle, and we'll never find out how much it was. It's kind of like Darian Mensah, same kind of deal. In the case of Damon Wilson, the quarterback at Washington, they couldn't get him to. He ended up having to stay there because they kind of put the clamps on him. But it never ended up going to court. But this is just what the way it's going to be. I mean, if you don't know, Brendan Sorsby went to Texas Tech, where they have a lot of money. I think he's getting $4 million. That's pretty good. That's the running rate for an elite quarterback, and he's really good. I like watching him play. But anyway, $1 million at stake here. Just send it to charity. Both places should just send it to charity anyway. Speaking of that, number 2 on our Hesser and Kipke 3 things is that the owner of the, oh no, I'm sorry, that is for later. I was looking at something and I misread it. Let's go back. Number 2 on our Hesser and Kipke 3 things, Max Scherzer coming back for a 19th season. Okay, he's with the Blue Jays, and yeah, they need him. They've got some. They had one guy had Tommy John surgery, and another guy is out for a while. He's got some arm soreness, so I think that has a lot to do with it. That Scherzer's going to try to come back. He's still effective. You lose velocity when you get older, but I think he'll be just fine. But hey, good for him. 1 year, $3 million deal, 19th season. Wow. That's pretty good in baseball because, especially for a pitcher, because your arm has so many moving parts that are, you've got shoulder, you got elbow, you got hand, and you're going to get some injuries, and it's hard to play that long. So I give him a lot of credit. And let's get to number 3 on our Hesser and Kipke 3 things. Somebody pointed this out. I think actually it was Chris Felica pointed this out on Twitter. I noticed it today. There are 9 schools in the Power 4 who don't have anybody else on the Power 4 on their schedule. Obviously, they have their conference games, but nobody else. So I just kind of looked through it, and I said, oh, funny thing is, 5 of them are in the Big Ten. Big Ten is trying so hard to get as many teams into the playoffs as they can. That's all they care about, getting teams into the playoffs. Of course, as you know, the SEC has a rule. You have to play at least one Power 4 team. Florida obviously has FSU. forever. So that there's their 10 games, and then you try to get a couple of softies there, unless it's Notre Dame coming in. I don't wonder if that could happen, where Florida says, "Hey, we're not playing you this year, FSU. We're playing Notre Dame, and we don't want to play two Power Fours." I don't know if that would happen or not. Anyway, Georgia Tech. How about this? Georgia Tech has 3 Power Four games in addition to their SEC or ACC schedule. So I would not be betting on Georgia Tech this year. I don't think that's, of course, they lost a lot talent-wise, but anyway, 3 Power Fours, so basically they're playing 12 games that matter. That's good for the crowds, and you're going to make a lot of money, but you're probably going to lose some games. Anyway, that is our Hesser and Kipke 3 things. Let us move along to our Adams Ribco Gator of the Week, brought to you by our good friends at Adams Rib Company, the place to go for all your barbecue needs. And on Friday, Nana's Nuggets. We love those Nana's Nuggets. Adams Ribco Gator of the Week is, it's Alex Condon. Yep, absolutely. You got to look at these last 3 games for him. Now, remember, Alex was the guy that everybody was wondering what was going on with him. Is he having some draftitis? Now they're wondering about Houck, and then they'll wonder about the next. But that's the thing. Whoever the other team is going to try to take away, somebody else can step in. And Florida's a well-coached team. I think we all know that. But Alex Condon, here's his last 3 games. 67 points. 67 points. 13 assists. So you're responsible for a lot of baskets there. And 18 rebounds. Those are his last 3 games. So anybody who said Alex Condon is a bust, and believe me, some of them are related to me. So, but that, look, I was right there with you. I was like, what's going on with Condon? He just doesn't seem to. He had that 4 turnover game against Auburn. He had another bad game. But believe me, his coach never lost faith in him and would say over and over again, this guy, there's nothing going wrong with Alex Condon. He's still doing good things, still playing defense and everything. He is our Adams Ribco Gator of the Week. Let's move along to our Leonardo's at Millhopper quick pick. And by the way, Leonardo's at Millhopper is giving away those subscriptions to to my Dooley Noted on Patreon. Patreon.com/Dooley Noted, and we'll start doing some more going forward, because anybody who qualifies, we'll try to send you one. In fact, I got a couple I need to send out today, so I'll try to do that a little bit later today. So here's the 2 things we're giving you to try to qualify. You got 2 chances to qualify for the next drawing of $25 at Leonardo's. Go in there and get a dual sandwich. 2 things, not 2 games, but 2 things. Arkansas, Florida. I would bet, I'm going to set the spread, but you don't have to count the spread. I would set the spread at Florida by 5. That may be low, but it may be high, or I may be crazy. That's one of them. And then how many games does baseball win this weekend? So you can have it in by Friday at 6:30. If you don't get it in, then you can still get in and qualify for the other things. So those are your things. Arkansas at Florida, and how many games does baseball win down in Miami this weekend? Those are our Leonardo's at Millhopper quick picks. Your place to go for great pizza and a dual sandwich and a good salad bar too. Very nice salad bar. In fact, I may go get a salad today. I'm in the mood for that. Let us move along to, we love doing this, that, and the other.
What do you want? This, that, and the other.
Okay, this, that, and the other is brought to you by our good friends at Notary Joe's. Notary Joe will come to your house and do your notary work for you. It's pretty good. A mobile notary. Joseph Newton does a great job. 863-990-4884, 863-990-4884, the number to call if you want him to come and do that. It is brought to you by Dar Shakow Insurance. For all your home, auto, commercial, and life needs, Dar Shakow Insurance, DSI, is the place to go. And by the Atlanta Hustle, the Southeast Ultimate Frisbee team. They've got their schedule now. I was talking to Matt Lerner, or texting with Matt Lerner the other day. And you can go on shop.atlantahustle.com and get stuff there. And their schedule will be up there pretty soon because they don't play again until April, but their schedule will be up there very soon. Appreciate Leonardo Law for being a sponsor of the Atlanta Hustle. All right, this, that, and the other. Here we go. This, All-Star games suck. I mean, look, they do. They're all bad. No, they keep trying to come up with ways to make them more interesting. People tell me that this basketball All-Star game was more interesting. I didn't watch it, so I didn't know. And again, that's part of it is because it's not been interesting for a long time. I think the last one that was interesting was the one Magic played in because everybody, was so spooked by his situation. Anyway, All-Star games is a rule stick. Even the baseball All-Star game, I never watched that. I just don't care. I don't care who wins. That is that Matt, and I'm sure I'm not going to pronounce his name right, Ishbia, the owner of the Phoenix Suns, which I did not know he was the owner of the Phoenix Suns, he has come up with an idea, and that is to give $1 million to every player who wins one of their contests, like the slam dunk contest, the shooting contest, skills contest, whatever they do, donate $1 million and $1 million to charity. That's pretty good. That sounds like a good idea to me. However, the other is that the Players Union and the NBA have said, we can't do that. That's not within the structure of our agreement, so we can't allow that to happen. We'll see if it does. But it is interesting that maybe he came up with it. He goes, now I know I'm not going to have to give the $1 million for each one. But anyway, interesting. This, that, and the other. Let's move along to our Los Landeros Smooth Move of the Week. It is brought to you by Los Landeros Tequila, my favorite tequila, and Urban Meyer's favorite tequila. Go beyond with Los Landeros Tequila. Our Smooth Move of the Week is brought to you by Chandler Morris. Now, Chandler Morris, quarterback of Virginia last year. He is suing the NCAA, another lawsuit by a quarterback, for another year. This would be his 7th year. And he's making the argument that any year I had to do any rehab shouldn't count against me. And the other thing that's really weird about this is that Chandler Morris, that Virginia has brought in 2 quarterbacks. I think one's a portal and one's a recruit. And the theory is he's not coming to go to Virginia, he's coming to go to Clemson, where his dad now, Chad Morris, is now the offensive coordinator. Smooth. All right, that is our Los Landeros Smooth Move of the Week. Let's move to our Gallo Car Wash. Sponge of the Week, Gallo Car Wash, the place we go to get our cars washed, all 3 of them, and we appreciate Gallo Car Wash very much. Our Sponge of the Week was the University of Connecticut's defense, and I'm talking men's basketball. Last night, you probably had a bad shooting night too, but this was a big game that I kind of forgot to watch because as soon as I'm watching Florida on one TV and Vandy on the other, and I should have had the other, St. John's and UConn on the other, but I didn't. And I'm glad. And when I saw the score, I'm glad I didn't. St. John's in the game missed 24 straight shots at the end of the game. Their last 24 shots, none of them went into the basket. Unbelievable to have a game like that. And they missed 13 straight earlier in the game. So 14 points in the second half for St. John's, and they got routed. So that defense for UConn. Again, I've watched a little bit of the highlights, and I think they did play great defense, and they do play great defense. And we saw it when they played Florida. They do play great defense, but it's still a lot of missed shots, too. No question about that. All right, that is our Gallo Car Wash Sponge of the Week. Appreciate Gallo Car Wash. Let's move along to our BMI TeleMed Smart Move of the Week, brought to you by our friends at BMI TeleMed, your weight loss specialists. Achieve and maintain with BMI TeleMed. It worked for me, and it will work for you. Just tell them Pat Dooley sent you, 727-383-1677, and you'll get a discount with your order. Our smart move of the week was Jeff Monken. Now, the reason I call it a smart move is I'm not a big fan of Army-Navy being that last weekend. I'm like, no. And they want it to stand alone. I get that, and that's great. But it doesn't do much for me. But I guess I do watch it most times. I do want it to stand alone. I just don't necessarily want it then. Well, Jeff Monken agrees with me, and he agrees with everybody except the president, I guess, because the president was going to sign an order that says it's got to be a standalone game. Now, that's fine. I have no problem with that. It doesn't have to be that weekend, though. It can be, and this is what Jeff Monken is saying, how about Thanksgiving Day or Friday of Thanksgiving? Yeah, we'll do it then. And he's just saying, he's trying to come up with better ideas. He told The Athletic this. Let's just do it then and still keep it a standalone game, which I am all in favor of that. But once we get that close to the playoffs, we're not thinking about it as much. I think it would make the game even bigger if you did that. That's my take on it. And that is our BM. That's why it's a BMI TeleMed smart move of the weekend, because I agree with him. And if I agree with him, you know it's going to be. All right, let's wrap it up with as we always do, with our Swamp games of the weekend, brought to you by the Swamp Restaurant, place to go watch games. And I know a lot of you will be out there. The weather's supposed to be beautiful this weekend. Sounds like you'll be able to sit out there at the Swamp outside and watch the games. If you want to watch baseball, Florida, Miami, they play at 7 o'clock on the ACC network on Friday. Then on Saturday, they play at 6, and it's on ACC Plus. If you get that, I think I do. And then Sunday's finale's at 1 on ACC Plus as well. Gymnastics has a tri-meet in Denton, Texas, Friday night. It's on Flow College. If you get that network, it's hard to find. Sometimes you can get it. Sometimes it's a struggle. But that's the only place to watch it. It's not the meet that we saw last week when it was Georgia and everybody was all excited. Okay. Women's basketball plays tonight against Ole Miss at home, their final home game of the year. It is on the SEC network at 6 o'clock. They play again Sunday at Georgia to finish up their regular season. That's on SEC Plus at 3 o'clock. And that game is their last game of the year, and then they go to the SEC tournament. So, I don't know where they'll be seated or anything like that. Certainly, that team is so frustrating to watch because they're so close to being good. So close. They will get you sucked into a game and they just can't finish. They've got to figure out how to finish. I've said that before, but I'll say it again. And here's your basketball schedule on a great Saturday. This is going to be a lot of fun. Virginia at Duke, noon on ESPN. Vandy at Kentucky at 2 o'clock on ESPN. Kansas at Arizona at 4 o'clock on ESPN. So obviously you're not going to see the beginnings of those games. Texas at A&M at 4 o'clock on ESPN2. That'll be interesting to see how Texas bounces back, or do they bounce back? And A&M is just struggling now. Alabama at Tennessee. That'll be a good one to lead in. Alabama at Tennessee, 6 o'clock on ESPN, of course. Arkansas at Florida, 8:30 game on ESPN. And if you're into golf, and I am, it's the Cognizant tournament. Anyway, it's down in Palm Beach, so you know where that tournament is at that great course down there. And if you're going to watch that on the weekend, NBC will have it from 3 to 6 on Saturday and Sunday. All right, that'll do it for another duly noted podcast presented by Titan MRI and Imaging, coming to you from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. Thanks so much to Zach for doing a great job. We appreciate him. We'll be back on Monday. Coach Summerall and Coach Spurrier will be both joining us separately, but together in a way. And we'll be back then. Until then, I am Pat Dooley, and I am deep way back, and I am out of here.